my city. It's Cooney, the city. My city, man. City.
All right.
One of the best football players to ever play the game in Wayne County.
You are
Cooney,
ready? Yep.
Are you ready?
wake up like it's drag
Good.
day.
Whenever you're ready. All right.
Gotta go to sleep with a strap. If you run up, you get blown back off the map. Ay, they leaving in the past. Ay, focus on running the racks. Ay, drop me a bag off at ay, and pick up some Louis. Say no, I'm dripping Ferragamo Gucci. Don't want your shorty that lip your groupie. She hit me up tryna make a home movie.
Energetic during games and stuff, or during like regular life too, and he said he's actually probably even more energetic, has more energy.
I'm proud of him.
Including the community members, the people, the parents, the superintendents, the athletic directors, everybody has helped get to this point. And that's what makes Wayne County sports great. And it's not just me who runs it, it's a whole community. Without the community's help, I can't do this.
I'm Jim Stoner, and I'm the writer and developer of the story The Black Cyclone, originally the play, and now the film based on the same story of The Black Cyclone, the story of Charles Follis, the first African-American professional football player. Charles Follis is a person that was almost completely lost to history. Charles was asked to start, develop, and captain the high school football team at Worcester High School. He ended up leading them to an undefeated season in 1898 and again in 1899. Northeast Ohio, as you're probably aware, that's where football grew up. When Shelby came to Worcester to play against the Worcester Athletic Club and they met up with Charles, the headline read at the end of the day, "The Black Cyclone helps Worcester almost defeat Shelby." Frank Schiffer, who owned the Shelby Blues, walks up to Charles after the game reportedly and says, "I never want to play against you again, young man. I'll pay you $10 a game if you come to Shelby and play for my Shelby Blues." Frank Schiffer was a leader in the Shelby community and arranged for a contract, brought Charles to Shelby, while the white guy that Frank Schiffer had hired, ends up owning a team. He owned the Brooklyn Dodgers. And in 1947, he'd already been doing his homework. I finally found somebody that reminds me of my old friend, Charles Follis. Here, Lou, go sign Jackie Robinson. As Archie Griffin stated, when I was explaining Charles Follis to him, he beat me to the punch and said, "So, if you hadn't had Charles Follis, you probably wouldn't have had Jackie Robinson for decades." You got it, Archie.
Dick Shafrath was a dominant football player at Worcester High School. He would then go on to play at Ohio State, starting for 3 years. And after a great career with the Buckeyes, he would play 13 seasons for the Cleveland Browns, blocking for most of those years for the legendary Jim Brown.
Everybody knows everybody was dancing to the jail.
Well, it was my father. And he was a really great guy. But he spent a lot of time working. He was quite remarkable. You know what he thought? He said, you don't need to be the most talented. You just have to have the drive and determination. You don't have to be the biggest, the tallest, the strongest. You just have to want it. If you get in your head you're going to win, you will. Well, he didn't really talk a lot about it, you know? It was just what he did.
What do you think the players he coached meant to him?
Everything. He really cared about them. And they would come to the house, and they'd all sit around and talk. And he spent a lot of time with them, you know?
Good evening, I'm Brian Gumble, coming to you from the floor of Philadelphia Spectrum at the crowning of a national collegiate basketball champion here in Philadelphia.
Say hello to someone.
You can if you want to. You can do about what you want to tonight.
Thanks a lot, Coach Bates, and hello to my family and friends.
It meant a lot to me because I realized how much those people meant to my dad.
When Dean was 6 years old, he was riding the bus. That had to be the first grade. And he made a statement to the lady then that he was going to be a professional baseball player. And he did that. But I want to tell you something. Nobody worked any harder than Dean. In 1958, Mr. Coach Bates scheduled Worcester College on the schedule, and they was to play in the state on Friday.
People say the reason that Northwestern lost the 1958 state championship game in baseball was the night before the state semifinal. Dean pitched a complete game against the College of Worcester, a game in which they won.
Bates wanted to beat Worcester College. And then in 1959, Dean won. Well, after he finished his career, his record was 51-1. 51, and he had 17 or 18 no-hitters in his high school career.
Chance would go on to star in Major League Baseball, winning the Cy Young Award in 1964 for the Los Angeles Angels, and making 2 All-Star games during a career that lasted 11 years.
Can it be your faith in...
Chester senior Don Hershey would have one of the most impressive single performances in the history of Wayne County basketball. Don would score 67 points in one game.
Don, you are looked at as one of the best athletes to play at Northwestern. What does the name Huskies mean to you?
Well, it's what you play for. My teammates wanted me to break it, and they threw me the ball and they put it in the basket.
Don Hershey, he was one heck of an athlete.
I was quicker laterally, but lateral quickness for an athlete is where it's really at.
Eventually, do you think the time's going to come to where somebody breaks the record?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I hope they do, and I hope it's a Northwestern boy, but I don't think they will because the gyms are so much longer now. I mean, you could get a rebound, and dribble 2 or 3 times and shoot back in the old days.
Bob Knight was an amazing player for Orrville in 1958. But Coach Knight would be more well known for being a coach. Starting at Army and progressing to Indiana, the Hoosiers won 3 national championships. And among the greats that Knight would coach, Isaiah Thomas. Wilbur Berkey dominated Wayne County basketball as a player in 1927. Later, he would go on to be a legendary coach, coaching 26 years in baseball and 25 in basketball. And Smithville would name their gym after Coach Berkey.
In Smithville in the 1980s would bring one of the most dominant 2-sport athletes to ever come across Wayne County. Larry Kolick would go on to play football at The Ohio State University and go on to play in the National Football League. But that's not the only thing Kolick's known for. He is known for having the Wayne County record in the shot put at 64 feet, which is a record that still stands today.
Worcester volleyball dominated the Federal League, coached by Anita Journey Gifford.
Well, if you do any research, most pictures of our team championships and our successes are the girls. My name's on the trophy, but I'm not pictured there.
Worcester at one point would win 78 Federal League matches in a row.
Really, all of those accolades that I had really is a recommendation and a representation of the girls and the athletes that played for me.
Gifford would go on to lead Worcester for 12 years, making 2 state appearances, 8 regionals, and be inducted into the Ohio High School Volleyball Coaches Association Hall of Fame.
The tradition at Hillsdale when it comes to softball, everybody grows up wanting to be a Lady Falcon softball player.
During Hillsdale's 1994 state championship season, Genevieve would hit the game-winning home run and a 3-2 8-inning victory in the state finals.
A lot of pressure, a lot of nerves. We knew the other team had a great pitcher. We had a great pitcher of our own. Our offense was unstoppable. We were determined that we were going to go on and we were going to win, and obviously we made it happen. There was no way I was not going to win for the seniors. She just stood out there on the mound and she kept shaking her head and she kept shaking her head and she kept shaking her head, and I knew it was coming. And I knew if I didn't crush it, Coach was going to kill me. I mean, she was going to kill me. I just sat on it and I launched it to right center, and it's probably the fastest I've ever run in my entire life. I was able to get around the bases before they got it in the park home run, and then we held on in the bottom of the inning and sealed the deal.
But her success did not stop there. She would go on to play collegiately for Ohio State.
I signed with Ohio State in April of my senior year.
And was then drafted by the Akron Racers, the professional fast-pitch team in Northeast Ohio. Chenevy also part of the U.S. Olympic team. In the mid-90s in basketball, Dalton's Ryan Berg would rewrite the history books.
It was really cool. I still remember the play. I came off the screen and kind of moved to my left and pulled up for a jumper. My dad and my mom were up in the stands. They're kind of cheering me on and things like that. So it was pretty cool. It was a fun moment.
Berg would set the all-time area record for most points in a career upon graduation with 1,945. And not only would Berg set the scoring record, but he was also honored as a McDonald's All-American player and was the Ohio Division IV Player of the Year as a senior. 1991 in Rittman would see the rise of a star pitcher by the name of Matt Beaumont.
There's a ton of great players that have gone through Rittman. I'm just one of them.
Beaumont would throw 6 no-hitters and accumulate 419 strikeouts over 216 innings for the Indians.
Just happy to be part of that legacy with that.
Matt would continue his dominance at Ohio State University, where he was a first-team All-American for the Buckeyes. And after Ohio State, professional baseball would be next. Matt would pitch in the minor league system for the Anaheim Angels.
Michael Robinson, Drew Robinson, Marcus Robinson, Justin Wake.
Goal was to help my team win a title, and that's my only focus going in. When we won in '95, we kind of like shocked ourselves as it was like as little kids growing up and eyes on us, so that we really didn't feel that type of pressure. Get the job done and have the city so happy the way they was, finally feeling that, you're fulfilling your dream, and it's your senior year. It was everything. Man, yeah, Renard Ray, my best friend, and growing up, me and him was always together, out and stuff like that. So we kind of pushed each other and kind of followed each other's path and tried to get this goal accomplished along with our teammates and stuff like that. So to be able to do it with one of my best friends, man, it was amazing to play with him. He's such a great talent.
By Renard Ray, all the way down. The 1-2 combination. Ray to Denson, and Denson slams it home. Kicks it back to Marcel. Marcel with a three-pointer.
The game winner was supposed to go to Renard Ray, and he had the ball Tom Reeser had the ball in his hands, and we couldn't get the ball to Renard because they would deny him. And I seen that they was trying to deny him so much that they forgot about the backside. Waved the time in, he tossed it over the dude's head and got it to me, and I was able to throw up a quick little bank shot layup. We won the game.
Marcel Denson, Ronald Ray, Tom Reeser all helped the Riders as they won a Division III state championship in '95, and they became the first ever Ohio school to move up a division, and they won it again in '96.
Hi, my name is Justin Zwick. I was part of the Orville State Championship team in 1998.
Justin Zwick, freshman quarterback.
Experience to be able to rely on and go back.
I took over as quarterback, had a three good games. Our fourth game we played Worcester, who was our rival. And first play of the game, I break my collarbone. But I'd had a couple great games. You know, I felt like I was really coming into my own as a quarterback. And we go into the summer, and all of a sudden, boom, hey, you might have to play for us next year. You know, we saw you, we saw what you did, you know, in those few games that you played. You know, thinking back on that team, Josh Smith, Andy Lorison, good guys who I'm thinking on, you know, Drew Robinson on the offensive side of the ball.
Josh Smith, senior. Drew Robinson, senior. Andy Lorison, senior.
They weren't a big class, but they were great leaders. You know, coming in as a freshman, I didn't even know what the heck I was doing. You see that video of me just coming around, you know, saying my name.
Wake, freshman quarterback.
Wearing a varsity, you know, I was the only one. It was kind of strange. You know, we grew as the year went on, and I got better as the year went on, more experience. We go to the playoffs, and had a few good games. We ride Drew Robinson through Huron overtime. You know, it was just kind of nuts, but he rallied for that game at Massillon, Paul Brown Tiger Stadium. I'll never forget it. Just a special day. And the game really was going well for us. You know, we felt like we were in control. We had a big pass play to, I think it was Andy Lorson's 70-some yard touchdown early in the game. I'll never forget being up a little over a minute to go, and somehow their receiver gets behind our safeties and they go score the go-ahead touchdown with, you know, minute 5 left or whatever it ended up being. That next drive was just, I've seen that next drive. It was special, you know, just knowing you don't have a ton of time on the clock, and gosh, all I did was throw a fade. Threw it as far as I could down to the corner of the end zone, let my 6'8" receiver go up and make a play for me, and you know, he was able to come down and get that ball in his control for the touchdown, and you know, we go ahead and win.
With less than a minute to go, Orville scored on a pass from Zwick to Michael Robinson.
He wouldn't want us to still be upset. He wants us to keep running our race.
With Coach Mike Burkhalter at the helm, Orville could not be stopped. In 1999, they would win another state title in track and field. Drew Robinson ran the fastest 100-meter time in the area at 10.66.
He just had the ability to be able to truly see the best in every single person. He would connect with them and let them know that he believed in them.
He did always say he never wanted to be the guy that told someone they couldn't. I remember him saying that he was very humbled by everyone.
What do you think the students meant to him?
Everything.
We still have that Berks Team Facebook page. You should be able to get on there and read stories, and it's just, they felt the need to get on that page and just say some story about what he did for them one day at school, or at a track meet he did this, or he told me this and I remembered it from then to this day, and it's always changed. It changed the way I looked at things.
He definitely just really cared about everybody. That's what meant the most to him.
Hi everyone.
I want to thank you all and say that we're lucky to have Mike be part of our lives. Mike was a very special man. He definitely had a big impact on me, as with everyone else that came in contact with him. He's an amazing man, husband, father, grandfather, coach, teacher, mentor, colleague, principal, the boss, and of course, friend. His ability to tell a story and his monotone voice was unmatched. I miss that more than anything else, I think.
We do. I don't know if Becky told you, but you're officially, this track is named Mike Burkholder Track.
I guess I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all the memories, for all the love, and for remembering Mike in this way. I know he's happy and smiling at all of us tonight. Thank you.
At 6'7", 235 pounds, he is a man right now.
We had a bunch of guys that were pretty much dedicated to basketball. When your best player after a game comes in and asks you how many assists did I have, that's a pretty good team to work with.
One of the records that I have or had that I would probably be most proud of, the assist record I had.
We won that game, but about 5 minutes later, my thoughts went to, oh, now we're going to play LeBron. We walked in the Canton Fieldhouse to play the game. You could see the eyes of my players. It was just a whole different atmosphere.
I remember specifically watching, the lines of people.
delivers. Cole, damn!
You feel a little bit of a responsibility when you get to play for a coach like Keith Schrock and you get to play for a coach like Michael Snowbarger. I mean, just getting to play for both of those guys who are as good as it gets in my eyes. You want to do your best for them.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, is this Keith Schrock?
Yes, it is.
The godfather of high school football in Ohio, Keith Schrock.
Well, the Daily Record, it was Dorkson. When Aaron Dorkson was on sports editor, he always did that preview. I'll never forget that, and one year he did it, as he'd introduce each team in August with that preview with the coach, I don't know, maybe one guy was a cowboy or whatever, but he chose to make me the godfather.
250 career wins for the Green and White, the winningest high school coach in the area. Orville's football success would continue in the 2000s, led by quarterback Tim Hiller.
But the years are short, and looking back now, you just realize how special those times are. And if I don't have any regrets, but if I have one, maybe just a little one, it's probably that I didn't just maybe savor it more at times.
Starting in 2000 and continuing in 2001, Hiller would wrap up his Orville career as Ohio's 7th all-time passing leader with 7,260 yards.
So you begin to see that I've really got to push myself. I've got to really hold a high standard, and I can't let up.
Even with such a feat, Hiller would get only one offer from a Division I school, Western Michigan.
I think coming here grew my faith in my character.
The Broncos would give Hiller the opportunity, and he thrived when he got it. Hiller would start as a freshman, where he played with NFL All-Pro later receiver Greg Jennings. And after his success with the Broncos, Hiller would go undrafted but sign a free agent deal with Indianapolis and be on the same practice field with Colts legend Peyton Manning.
That's Carmichael. Good.
Dalton softball was unstoppable in 2006 and 2007, winning back-to-back state championships. And those Bulldog teams were led by Jessica Carmichael.
We knew we were good, and we just had to prove it. My freshman year, we kind of came out and shocked people and thought, take note. And then I think junior year, we just wanted to prove, we are good, we know we're good, we just need to perform when it counts. And I think we just had a different mindset. We kind of just went in there and knew we were going to win. So that junior year was everything, I think, to finish out my career. I think we thought we could. I think we knew it was going to be tough just because it was hard to get those wins. But I think we knew we could. The amount of people that were there, there was just people everywhere, and the students were there, and the guys painted their chests, and I just remember the community coming to a rally.
When you talk about a force on the football field of the Wayne County Athletic League, you can talk about Ryan B. of Hillsdale. B would take his talents to the next level, heading to Huntington, West Virginia, and the Thundering Herd of Marshall. And after graduating from Marshall, B went to one more level, the NFL, becoming the first Hillsdale graduate to sign with an NFL team. The now 25-year-old recently signing with the Arizona Cardinals for the year 2021. Blair didn't even start to play football until his sophomore year in high school. But the impact at Worcester High School was immediate. By the time Blair graduated from high school, he would be named first team All-State as a senior and the the 2014 Ohio Cardinal Conference Defensive Player of the Year. The Utes were glad to have him. As a 2-year starter in the defensive backfield, Blair was named All Pac-12 as a senior. Blair's 2 seasons in Utah caught the eye of NFL scouts. And for a young man who didn't even start playing football until his sophomore year at high school, the NFL would be next.
With the 47th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Marquise Blair, DB, Utah.
So we were playing really well up till that point, and then just a lot of things seemed to go the wrong way. It was obviously a rainy week, a muddy field, and just made uncharacteristic mistakes. I think though that game kind of recentered and refocused everyone. They say you learn more from a loss than you do a win, and I think that's really what happened, and that kind of was the catalyst to spur us through the rest of the season.
That would wind up in the state championship game in Massillon, facing off with Ohio Mr. Football Matty Mock and the Kenton Wildcats.
We watched films. We just did a normal week. I mean, we knew that we did change up our defense. We kind of revamped all that, but the kids were very good, picked up everything, tried to keep a simple plan and just play fast and physical through that game. Matty Mock was a great athlete, and we were fortunate enough to get some hits on him early, kind of rattle him, and then I think with the change up of the defense that allowed us to keep him off balance, and obviously they put up points, but they were a solid team, but it kept them off balance enough to allow us to be successful.
One of the most exciting state championship games ever.
You being a sophomore, what was going through your mind coming into the state title game?
All those butterflies, man. You're a sophomore, you're young, this is the first time Norman's ever kind of been in this kind of territory.
Going into the senior season, everybody bought in, believed in it, and that was our goal.
I mean, there was pressure on us from the whole community. I feel like, what's the point in going there if we weren't gonna, win it? So, I mean, definitely had pressure on us from our coaches, from the fans, but we went into a territory where I felt like we had a great game plan and we were kind of set up to succeed. It was like 40 to 30-something seconds were left on the clock, and Adam Wallace, my quarterback at the time, kind of comes into the huddle and talking to the coaches, and we're just like, no regrets, man. Like, we got this far. Like, we have no regrets. Like, at this point. So.
Quarterback Wallace gathered up his teammates and told them, no doubts.
No doubts. That's what I told the team.
Adam Wallace was in the huddle, huddled everybody up and said, hey, no doubts. Everybody in here is no doubts, and that's what they kind of took a hold of that and just moved down the field.
Never had a doubt that we would go down there and score.
Now, talk us through the catch.
The catch, man.
Now, tell us about the catch.
Honestly, sometimes you look back at the game, and I remember sitting back there in that pocket. It felt like I had all day. Caleb just came down with it, and it was an amazing staple to the end of our season.
Adam kind of did his thing in the backfield. Dude has a cannon, man, so he kind of let it rip. And Adam put it in the perfect spot, right at the perfect time, and I was able to haul it in. And, that kind of rewrote the history books for us. takes me back. I mean, it gives me chills kind of just watching that. All the butterflies come back, man. That brings me chills.
You know, I just kind of looked up, and it was surreal, and you know, just one of those things that you knew was once in a lifetime. I look back on it now and try to think about all the things that transpired during that game.
And Wallace would find Harris down the middle of the field with a 31-yard touchdown pass with 31 seconds to go to give the Bobcats a 48-42 heart-stopping win.
Zeb, you are one of the greatest wrestlers this area has ever seen.
Beam would go on to be the 160-pound state champion.
Obviously, my goal is to win a state title. Going up and hugging my dad after the state title was awesome just because, you know, he's the one that got me into it. He's the one that kept me involved and took me to all the tournaments and stuff. And really, I mean, he's the reason why I succeeded in wrestling. And now that he's gone, it's just a special moment because, yeah, it's just awesome.
We had one of our seniors, Zeb Beam, that year. We'd had all the way since kindergarten. He was a state champ.
I feel like it's an awesome way of life. It's just a sport that I got into when I was a kid, and it just is an incredible sport. And just the atmosphere and everything is awesome. I mean, work hard, follow your dreams, and make them come true.
Well, we had a great group of kids coming all the way up, you know, and we actually had a big curveball come in with the Nelson boys coming over from Tussalal. We knew we were going to be probably top 10, maybe top 5. To win it would have been very difficult, and they were kind of the linchpins that kind of made it a absolute reality. We just had a great group of kids that really had, you know, start setting some new goals.
Louis Stanley has rebranded Waynedale Wrestling forever.
I think just the environment, the tradition, the families. There's been so many good wrestlers in our league, in our area. If you throw in Tribe, West Holmes, Norville, our area is, I don't even think that some of the local people realize, the radios and newspapers realize that this is one of the best areas in the state of Ohio. And we've produced year in and year out that the Wayne County League, small, but the individuals coming out of it every single year.
Who was the toughest wrestler from another WCAL school that you've ever had to coach against?
For sure, Colin Moore.
Colin Moore, the best wrestler this area has ever seen.
Looking back, I think my goal should have been a lot higher. Yeah, but the expectation was to win state that year, you know, in wrestling. I mean, my expectation of myself was to win state, to keep, you know, improving, you know, and I think that I wanted to keep just distancing myself from a lot of the competition anyways. So that was a big challenge, just to, you know, it's easy to stay where you're at when you're already you know, winning a lot. So that was the big challenge, was just finding new ways to push myself. I think the biggest thing that grew was confidence, believing that I could be a state champion.
The next level would be Ohio State, and dominated right away as a freshman with the Buckeyes. Moore would leave Ohio State after 4 years with a record of 110-11 and a 3-time All-American.
Jody's actually she was the art teacher that hired me, so I met her in the initial interview, and then we became friends after I got hired. You know, we looked forward to the art shows and getting to hang out. And Smithville was her, you know, that was her people. She really cared about Smithville and Marshallville, and you know, she would do anything for them and her volleyball girls especially. I think her #1 community would be those volleyball girls. They were her family. They were everything to her. They were some of the last people that ever got to talk to her. And I think that's one of the most important things, is that she got to be with them right up until the end. And all these kids showed up to her house, and we sat in her living room as a big group, and she said a prayer for her kids. Like, it was some of her last days, and she was praying over those kids. That was amazing. I will be forever grateful that I got, you know, to work alongside her for 4.5 years. Truly a blessing. She was one of a kind, one of a kind.
That kid was labeled as the prodigy when he was in 5th grade.
The small gym at Northwestern Middle School would become the breeding ground for the 6'8" monster known as Derek Koch.
That was one of my first dunks I got on camera. I've been trying quite often. I always got it when the camera wasn't on, so that was the first time we got it.
But he knew he was going to be successful, and the most important thing about that was he had a good head on his shoulders, and he knew how to treat his teammates.
It was definitely a pretty big transition, going from kids a foot shorter than me to my height and having me by about 20-30 pounds.
With a total of 1,967 points, he still holds the record for total points scored in Wayne County history. Koch also has over 1,500 career high school rebounds, and that number is #1 all time in the state of Ohio.
They felt really special. They're both big accomplishments, but definitely couldn't have done that without playing with the team I had. They were great teammates, and they helped me get those records. We just built a lot of chemistry, and we were unstoppable at that point. It was just exciting. I had been looking for an opportunity to get a dunk, and crashing the boards was what I did. So just getting the chance to get a putback on that was special.
Being at one school for 23 years, never having a losing season, I think is probably one of my favorite things. Obviously, center would be Derek Koch.
I didn't feel like I needed to break the records to know that I had made it. It's more for the love of the game than records itself.
Obviously, when you have a guy like Derek Koch, and then you throw in guys like Jacob Azanson and Trevor Klein, who were also seniors that had been through the wars those years, and Derek Darnell, who was a starter on that team, you throw him in, who's 6'5", 6'6", and then Parker Smith was our other starter, and then obviously Derek, he goes, "Coach, I don't care, I just want to win." But that year, when you have a 6'9" guy in the post and your other team guys are playing like that, that'll always be remembered.
I always remember the following we had. We always had close to sold out games. People always came out to watch us. the backboard. I still got some glass from this. I think what I remember most about that video is we got out of practice after 15 minutes. It feels pretty good. It was just nice having a team of my best friends around me my whole career there. That really made it special.
Koch would sign to Division I Bowling Green, and after a year would then transfer to nearby Ashland University, thriving in the Eagle system after starting for 3 seasons.
If I have the opportunity to go play overseas, I will. And if not, then maybe get into a little bit of coaching and just start my actual career.
Here we go! Here we go! Here we go! I'm filming! I'm filming!
He's one of the best running backs to ever come through Oroville.
Marquell was the one that everybody had to prep for.
I've never seen one kid dominate more than he did.
It was pretty electric.
Literally a video game character.
If you got the ball, it was going to the house every time.
He is the best football player, high school football player I've ever been around, either coaching or watching.
National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning.
He made it pretty clear first game of his high school career that he was still that talented.
Phenomenal. He put numbers up that very few have. Scored 56 touchdowns, averaged about 11 yards a carry, about 14 yards a touch. And you know, his athleticism was something that you just, I mean, it's a once in a lifetime type thing. Yeah, I think everybody knew that he was dangerous, but they just didn't know that he was that dangerous.
His runs, took me a few games watching him, and then in my head I was thinking if there was a professional that played, he was like a Barry Sanders.
If you watch him, some of the things that they were doing, and to be honest with you, he reminds me of Barry Sanders.
Defense was great. Give up a touchdown, doesn't matter. We're going to get another one back here in a couple seconds. So.
But like his football sense on the field is like, it's ridiculous. Like he knows where people are coming before they're coming. It's just a natural gift for him.
Marquell never even wanted to be like in the spotlight.
He probably had one of the most electric smiles.
You think he's the best player ever to play in Wayne County history?
From my experience, yes. I think he's the most agile, most like explosive to ever play in Wayne County.
Untouchable on the field, literally unable to be brought down. A highlight reel waiting to happen, play after play.
And I'm handing it off to him, and he says, "There I go." He just knew he was scoring, and then he scored.
Oroville would make it back to the state championship that year.
And once we got into the tournament, we felt like we had as good a shot as anybody. It was somewhat surreal, to be honest with you. We had talent. I mean, you know, Logan Domer was a beast, as was Marquell Parks. And
I don't think it really sunk in until I walked out and realized, like, okay, we're in the Canton Hall of Fame. This is a state title game.
For me, it was just very, very gratifying. The hard work of the kids paid off. Looking up at the end of the game and looking at our fans and looking at my individual family, and I'm going, man, how proud are all these guys of us.
I didn't know state was going to happen, but the sky was the limit at that point.
Logan, in fact, was watching video, and he goes, this could be a big week.
I didn't score a single rushing touchdown all year, and then I go to that state game and rush for 4.
Special athlete that exploded at a good time. Couldn't have happened to a better kid. He deserved everything he got.
And during that game, Domer and Parks would prove to be unstoppable. A 49-34 state championship win over Johnstown Monroe, Orville's second state championship in football, would come 20 years after their first. And one of the best games ever seen in these parts, and a 74-47 win over rival Waynedale. Carmichael threw 6 touchdown passes, rushed for 5 scores, and totaled 710 total yards.
The second half, we kind of took off, and same thing. It was really just putting the ball in the hands of my guys and my blockers blocking for us, and they did most of the work, to be quite honest. But I remember when we got back to the locker room that night, Coach Lee had mentioned some of our offensive stats. We did put up 74 and we won, so that was pretty cool. It was a good team win. We had our receivers played out of their minds.
It was back home at Triway where Carmichael would continue to leave his mark, not only as a baseball coach, but as an athletic director as well.
My name is Pat Hansa, and I am the co-athletic director at Triway High School. Yeah, Sean's a great guy. He was always put kids first, treated people with respect, very well-rounded individual and fun to work with, great guy. Very large impact. The nickname Mr. Triway says it all. Those 2 sons of his were the world to him. He wanted what was best for them. They learned from him, and he just wanted to be well-rounded and great young men, and that's what they are. They're great young men, and he had a big impact on his kids. This was the worst news, besides my own father passing. This was the worst news I've ever heard. I got a phone call, and it was, I can remember like it was yesterday. 100% devastation. It was one of the saddest things I think the community's seen, and it was quite a tribute through his calling hours to see so many people show up, and they were just devastated would be the word for sure.
Carmichael will not be forgotten by the people of Wayne County, and especially the community of Triway.
It was everything that we expected. I mean, the hype going into it was definitely crazy. Every time we play Northwestern, it's like, you know it's going to be a good game. It's a rivalry, so the hype was crazy.
It was a sold-out gym, and Worcester had to bring in extra seating. That still wasn't enough to accommodate everybody who wanted to see it.
I think just seeing everything with how they're bringing in extra stands was probably gonna be one of probably the biggest game of my high school career.
We walk out right there, we look up, and it's just packed both sides. Like you couldn't see any open seating. Like unreal.
It was definitely probably the largest crowd I played in front of in high school, and it was just amazing. It's Northwestern Norway, and just seeing all the hype around it, you can just tell that it was just going to be that atmosphere that any high school player would ever want to play in.
After a back-and-forth game, once again, it was Draper.
The shot it was a blur.
I was obviously like heartbroken. My career just ended on a shot that is going in once every 20 times.
I mean, it sucked. It sucked seeing that go in. He was able to hit it. It was a tough shot, but it was kudos to them. They played good. They played hard, and in the end, they won the game, and that's all that matters.
It was still the best sporting event I've ever played in. I mean, it was crazy. From the fans to how good the game was and everything.
But fortunately, I was able to kind of capture the moment a little bit after I hit it, but the whole thing went so fast, and like it was just like, wow.
You don't take those games for advantage, and those stay memorable for the rest of your life.
Rittman would produce their first state champion wrestler in 2021.
I started in kindergarten. I honestly hated wrestling.
In 2021, wrestling in the 170-pound weight class, Garza would match up with Waynedale superstar Peyton Lemon multiple times during the regular season and in tournament. Fittingly, culminating in the state championship match, it would be Garza and Lemon one more time.
Kind of knew. I was like, I know he's one of the better kids in the state, definitely in the weight class. I just watched him wrestle last year, and then seeing him this year, I was like, well, we could wrestle. I knew it was definitely going to be 3 times we'd wrestle, but 4 was a very highly possible thing that could happen. Yeah, no, I saw him over there, and I was like, well, he'll win his first match, probably win his second match. Third match, probably winning that too as well, but I was just trying not to focus on that and just focus on me, because that was the most important thing of getting to that point. So I was just worried about getting to the state championship, but definitely after after I won my semifinals match, I was pretty amped up and excited to wrestle, but I think there's a lot of nerves and anxiety running through it to just get the match over with. Even though it would be my last one, I wanted to soak it all in. So I had the first shot in the match, had the leg in the air, and 2 times I wrestled him this year. I scored early in the first period, so I was like, if I score early here, get up on him early, I got a chance of winning, definitely goes up. But we go out, didn't score the first takedown, so I knew I could get to my shots. Second period comes, I get my escape. I didn't let him ride on top too much, so I didn't really tire out or anything, so I was feeling good. Got to my second shot, was able to finish that. The third period, he gets out. He gets in a shot. There's a part of me that wanted to panic, but then a part of me that wanted to stay calm and wrestle through it and just kind of scramble for that position. I knew I could, so I got to a likable position and just wrestled from there. I was just looking at my dad as the match was going on. It was 5-1. I'm looking at my dad, smiling. I got a big old smile at my coaches, and they're telling me to keep wrestling. And I just got a big smile, I'm just looking at him. Then he gets out, and I was like, whatever, it's a point. And then I just want to celebrate.
First state titles, he knocks off Lemon and Waynedale. 7 Garza with the title. He is excited. The senior gets the title.
First thing I wanted to do was run to my parents. I was just the type of kid that just got after it. Worked hard every day. That's what we need in this school, is just kids who work hard every day, get after it every day, and don't let up.
And Garza would get the best of his rival, winning the state title 5-2 in the first ever state championship in wrestling for Rittman, and ending his season 41-0. With all the success that teams and individuals have had that we've talked about, many might get wrapped up in the past. However, that same personality and character traits that made teams and individuals so special back in the day still persist today in the youth and communities around Wayne County. So that next big team, that next big star, starting to work right now on the baseball parks of Shreve, maybe the outdoor hoops at Orville, or the weight rooms of Worcester.
Hello everybody, my name is Ben Nichols and I run the Wayne County Sports page on Instagram. I want to say thank you to all the people involved and all the people who have helped us along the way while creating the documentary. We have put many hours of work and it has all paid off. With that being said, many people have asked me, what am I doing with the sports page when I graduate? Well, what is going to happen with the Wayne County sports page is